If you commit to this, there's no going back.
Junior White is a 19-year-old teenager who is sent to prison for a minor crime. Inside, he becomes a target for a gang who want to kill him. But another gang comes to his rescue, led by Brenton Lynch, a notorious criminal.
There's no margin for error. No half measures. This is all or nothing.
After his release, Junior becomes entangled in a high-stakes gold heist orchestrated by Lynch.
Found something you like. 4.5 million of gold.
Hey, you can do this.
What if I say no?
As he's pulled deeper into the criminal world, Junior ultimately faces a dangerous game of trust, betrayal, and survival. Stick around to find out what happens next.
The movie opens up with a 19-year-old Junior White being sent to a 6-month term in correctional prison for a minor crime. His cellmate, a seemingly defenseless man, is repeatedly physically abused by a group of prisoners led by a gangster named Dave. After settling into the harsh prison routine, Junior crosses paths with Brenton Lynch, a man infamous for his violent armed robberies. However, Brenton is also a very intelligent man and is currently immersed in a game of correspondence chess with someone named Sam. As Junior walks by the scene, he notices an unexpected checkmate. Although skeptical, Brenton invites Junior to demonstrate his move. When Junior does so, Brenton is impressed with his sharp mind. However, he does not express it and dismisses the checkmate as a fluke. Junior also does not reply and simply goes back to his cell. There, he finds his cellmate desperately making a makeshift knife from a toothbrush as he's sure he will be assaulted by Dave again. This makes Junior feel bad for him, so he decides to take action. The following day, when Dave enters their cell to abuse the man, Junior bravely intervenes. This triggers a struggle that lands him in solitary isolation as punishment. Unfortunately, despite his intervention, his cellmate falls victim to further abuse. The continuous attacks ultimately drive him to a suicide attempt with a makeshift weapon. When Junior finally returns to his cell, he finds the man choking on his blood. He frantically calls for help, but the cellmate does not survive. Days later, Dave and his group try to assault Junior, but Brenton, alongside his crew, Sterlo and Merv, save him in the nick of time. Brenton and Junior then strike up a deal which will benefit each other. The continuous attacks ultimately drive him to a suicide attempt with a makeshift weapon, perform whatever tasks are asked of him. Several months later, Junior gains his freedom after his prison term comes to an end. Straight away, he heads to meet a powerful crime boss named Sam, the guy who was playing chess with Brenton. Sam, alongside his nephew Josh, welcomes Junior into their group, providing him with an apartment as well as a briefcase of Brenton's belongings. Within the case, Junior finds fake passports, new clothes, and a pistol. That night, a beautiful young woman, Tasha, comes to his apartment. She brings cash and a cell phone for receiving vital instructions with her. After handing them over to Junior, she immediately leaves. In the next scene, Junior finds himself at the trailer of a man known as Private Wilson. Here, under Sam's guidance, Junior obtains a variety of illicit assault weapons. Private Wilson also teaches him how to handle those weapons. His next stop is a business that provides helicopter tours. Junior forcibly takes over a helicopter and orders the pilot to head to the prison where Brenton is. In the meantime, Brenton and his pals have taken charge inside the prison, grabbing a guard as hostage. They're waiting for Junior to arrive so that he can rescue them. Soon afterwards, the helicopter lands and they quickly climb in, leaving behind the hostage. They fly a long way and finally touch down in a distant city. Then, they get into a car and escape, leaving the pilot unharmed. On the way, a radio broadcast reveals a dark secret about Merv. He assaulted a schoolgirl years ago, and that's how he ended up in prison. Merv had always hidden this fact from his cellmates. Upon hearing this, Brandon violently confronts him before kicking him out of their gang. The remaining trio, Brenton, Starlo, and Junior, head back to the apartment, assessing the space. Brenton thinks that the apartment would leave them vulnerable in the event of an attack. Hence, they make a decision to relocate to a safer location. Following this, they travel to Sam's fancy home, where they're picked for a job. They are also to steal gold from a bank in Kalgoorlie, and the reward could get them a huge amount of money. While at Sam's big house, Junior spots Tasha again. He tracks her to the pool and tries talking to her. But just then, Josh arrives and shoves him into the water. Junior isn't able to swim, so he starts struggling, but thankfully, Tasha comes to his rescue. Feeling bad for him, she invites him to a Chinese restaurant for dinner. Later, during dinner, Junior asks why Tasha stays with Sam when she could use her fancy car to get away. She answers with a scary story about what happened to the last girl who tried to run. She was hunted down and killed. The following morning, Brenton expresses his anger about the previous night's episode involving Junior and Tasha. He insists that Junior can't let a woman distract him from the task at hand. Soon, they relocate to a new hideout arranged by Sam, a place that finally offers them the safety they need. From there, Brenton and Junior travel to Kalgoorlie, checking out the area and making plans for their heist. Brenton makes it clear that Junior will be responsible for handling the hostages. He outlines how Junior should control the situation if a hostage attempts to sound an alarm. As night descends, they find themselves at a local rally racing event. The victor, Chris, is a friend of Brandon's and is subsequently recruited for their heist. Back at Sam's estate, tensions run high as they map out the details of the heist. A struggle erupts between Junior and Josh, but it's quickly calmed by Brenton. Leaving the heated discussion, Junior finds his way to the bar. He once again sees Tasha there, having a hard time with some rude customers in a private area. Junior feels bad for her, so he impulsively takes out his gun and threatens the men to leave. However, this only enrages Tasha, as she fears Sam will find out about this. To make things right, they plan to see each other at a spot by the lake close to where Junior is living right now. That night, Junior opens up to Tasha about his childhood experiences. He shares how his careless parents didn't look after him, and how he was bullied at school. As their conversation unfolds, the two start getting close. One thing leads to another, and they eventually make passionate love. Early the next morning, Tasha gives him her good luck charm necklace, and Junior promises that, after the heist is done, they'll start a new life together. That night, the crew, filled with anticipation and tension, prepares themselves for the mission at hand. They embark on their journey towards Kalgoorlie. During the long drive, Starlow shares his past experiences, and this ends up motivating his friends. Upon arriving at their target location, they smoothly enter the bank's premises. As assigned, Junior slips into the ventilation shaft situated above the room where the gold is processed. Then all the others assume their positions, lying in wait until the next morning. Elsewhere, Tasha gets trapped by Sam's relentless questions. She tries to ignore him at first, but when he continues asking, she reluctantly reveals her and Junior's relationship. This information only increases Sam's irritation, and he secretly begins to plot Junior's demise. As the following day begins, employees at the gold processing room start to come in, ready to start their workday. But to their horror, Junior suddenly descends from the ventilation system. He quickly brings out his gun and threatens the workers, preventing them from sounding the panic alarm. This clears the path for the rest of the crew to slip in undetected. Once inside, Brenton takes the lead and compels two employees to carry out the process of turning the flowing liquid gold into solid, valuable bars. In the midst of this high-stakes operation, chaos breaks loose. Seemingly without warning, Josh pulls the trigger and shoots an employee's leg. He attempts to justify his hasty action, claiming the worker was trying to make a move towards the door. But a furious Brenton is having none of it. He teaches the thug a lesson by punching him hard in the face. Unfortunately, the damage has already been done, as soon afterwards, police sirens are heard from a distance. Brenton, along with the rest of the crew, load up 6 bars of gold and start their exit plan. Using hostages as human barriers, they stop the police from firing their weapons. Then they sprint towards their getaway vehicle and escape from there. But the cops aren't going to give up so easily, and they start chasing after the thugs. Just as Brendan and the group escape the edges of Kalgoorlie, Sterlo is hit by a bullet, ripping through his abdomen. Blood begins to pool around him and the injury is severe. Eventually, Chris manages to outsmart the cops with a sharp maneuver that causes several police vehicles to crash into each other. But at this point, Sterlo realizes that he won't make it. With his last breath, he asks for his share of the stolen gold to be given to his little daughter. The group is devastated by his loss, but they have no choice but to move on. Later, they hide their vehicle inside a truck and head towards Sam's location. Sam instructs them to dispose of the car and get rid of any evidence. Heeding the order, Brendan and Junior torch the car with Sterlo's body still inside before throwing it off a cliff. Meanwhile, one of Sam's henchmen, Ken, sees Tasha packing up her bags and grows suspicious. He immediately confronts her, causing a fight to break out between the two. Against all odds, Tasha actually dominates him and ends up knocking him out. On the other hand, Junior and Brendan discreetly make their escape from Sam. They visit a grave where Brendan has stashed some money. They know that Sam is going to convert the gold into cash in Melbourne, so they pack their bags and prepare for a journey towards the same. Later, Junior and Tasha reunite on a train bound for Melbourne. Upon reaching Melbourne that night, they find a motel to stay in. While watching the news, they discover that they're being singled out for the Kalgoorlie heist. Curiously, Sam's name is nowhere to be seen, suggesting that he may have manipulated the situation in his favor. The next day, Brendan hands a portion of the money he dug out from the grave and orders Tasha to hand it to Sterlo's family. Just as she leaves the motel room to do so, Brendan has a heart-to-heart talk with Junior. He cautions him that Tasha could prove to be a roadblock in their future plans because of her past relationship with Sam. To ensure a smooth plan ahead, Brendan promises to give Junior a larger chunk of money, asking him to cut ties with Tasha. Unfortunately, Tasha witnesses this exchange and is deeply hurt. Junior tries to explain his side of the story, but she doesn't want to listen. Tasha instead warns Junior that once the job is complete, Brendan might abandon him, just like he suggested doing with her. Their intense conversation is abruptly interrupted by the sudden arrival of an armed man named Wayne. However, Wayne directs his gun at Brendan and announces that Sam has placed a price on his head. Despite the gun pointed at him, Brendan remains calm and level-headed. He uses his clever mind to turn the situation around. He convinces Wayne that Sam has played him too, and tempts him with the promise of a substantial sum of money if he helps them instead. The possibility of a much greater reward influences Wayne to reconsider his loyalty. Eventually, he finally agrees to Brendan's offer. Early the next morning, Junior and Brendan set out for the site where Sam is about to conduct the gold distribution. They arrive just in time to see Josh and Ken approach a vehicle, extending a key towards a mysterious individual. Their exchange is then interrupted by Wayne, who arrives out of nowhere in his pickup truck. He charges at them at full speed, ensuing in gunfire among the gang members. Amid the commotion, Brendan manages to take out Ken and apprehends Josh. They then begin to question him about the whereabouts of the gold. Initially, Josh doesn't open his mouth, but when they put him in a freezer, he eventually breaks down and reveals the gold's location. With this information, Brendan and Junior immediately retrieve the gold, which is neatly stashed away in a hidden suitcase. They then head towards Sam's place as they have a score to settle with him. Upon reaching there, Brendan finds Sam looking out of the window with a loaded gun in his hand. Their relationship has deteriorated to a point where both men realize that only one of them will make it out alive. Suddenly, Sam turns around and shoots, but the bullet misses Brendan, who quickly aims at Sam's abdomen and fires. This drops the gangster to the floor, and he finally passes away. Following this, Brendan and Junior find a motel to spend the night. Brendan conceals the suitcase of gold under the bed while Junior makes an excuse to go outside and mails the motel's location and room keys to Tasha. The pair then buys a boat for themselves, planning to leave the country for good. Early the next morning, Brendan and Junior set off in the boat. However, just as Tasha had warned, Brendan plans to hustle Junior out, offering him only a small cut of the gold. But our boy had already anticipated this betrayal, so he boldly reveals that he had given the motel's location to Tasha, and by now she has taken all the gold and hidden it somewhere. Enraged at the revelation, Brenton threatens Junior with a gun, but before he can pull the trigger, Tasha calls him from the shore. With the gold in hand, she warns Brenton to do as ordered, or else he won't get anything. Infuriated, Brenton drags Junior into the water, and the two engage in an intense fight. At first, only Brenton emerges to the surface, as Junior cannot swim, but he soon pulls the drowning boy from the water, questioning how he could entrust Tasha with their fortune. Junior casually admits he simply trusts her because he loves her. Eventually, Brenton sees no point in fighting, and the duo sits on the boat to have a conversation. Junior promises that he will send Brenton his fair share of money before leaving on a small boat towards the shore. In the aftermath, Brenton goes back to living in the motel. Unfortunately, there, a lady recognizes him and immediately calls the police. He is then captured and sent back to prison. Months later, he receives a letter from Junior detailing the location of his share of the gold. Included in the letter is a picture of pregnant Tasha. The movie closes with Brenton gazing out of the prison window. He has a smile on his face, indicating that he's hopeful of a brighter future. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this.